Hello and welcome back. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Erin.
And this is the Getaways Podcast.
Hi.
Shall we tell them?
Okay, we got some exciting news.
We've been working on something because we love doing this podcast, but we also love so many different things. So we want to share another version of it.
I like more creepy things. So I always look into haunted stuff when we go to locations. So we've started a podcast called The Haunted Getaways.
And it is launching this week on Thursday, right?
Yep. 2 episodes come out on Thursday, one about Venice and one about a hotel in Cornwall, England. So they're bite-sized versions of true stories of actual hauntings in locations that we travel to.
And we're starting with like Airbnbs and hotels and places that you would go on a trip. I'm starting to narrate. Erin will do it eventually, but we hope you love it. And we'd love to have you give it a shot and hear what you think.
Yes. So during your breaks, quick drives, if you've got just 10 minutes to spare, these are for you.
All right. Let us know what you think, guys. And let's jump into the other one, which we're talking about Corsica today.
Yep. We're going to stick with our summer because we cannot wait for summer to get here. It's cold again in the Netherlands. Shocking.
Although it has been drier, they said, than any other spring in history, right?
Yeah, we're kind of having a drought in in a few of the regions in the Netherlands. They're having to start like some water precautions because it has not rained in a while.
All right, Corsica. So we spent 3 weeks there, not this past summer, but 2023, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 weeks, 3 different places, 3 different houses to try and sort of cover the island.
Yeah.
But first, okay, so let's talk about Corsica in general. It is an island off of France, like between France and Italy.
It's much closer to Italy.
And it has gone back and forth from a lot of ownership. Like it was Italian, it was German, it was French, and currently is French.
Yes. It still has a lot of Italian influence. Because it's literally like just on top of Sardinia. So it's the same vibe. It's pretty much Italian food, wouldn't you say?
It's a little bit of a combination of versions. It's a fusion, I think, of French, Italian, and Mediterranean in general, right?
Yeah. We took a ferry, a traghetto, to get there. We left out of Livorno in Tuscany, and it was only 4 hours.
Yeah. Not bad at all.
So it was much cheaper. It wasn't that bad. We just got 3 seats. Rex kind of like just laid on the floor in front of us. And, we just watched movies and played on our iPads for 4 hours. Lisa did get very dizzy. She tends to get a little of the old, what's it called?
Vertigo. Because since COVID, for some reason, I get vertigo really badly. And boats especially. But anyway, okay, so our first stop.
Our first stop was Ajaccio. Very Italian names.
Which we stayed in an Airbnb kind of, well, first of all, Ajaccio is like a fairly big city, right? And so we stayed probably, a 10-minute drive from the sea?
Yeah, but when she says big city, it's like, it's like a coastal town. Yeah, for an island. We stayed about, a 10-minute walk from the sea in an apartment. It was nice.
It was fine, yeah. And then, so I could walk Rex down in the morning, and we walked along the sea. There was a little path, and so that was nice. And then, obviously, there's beaches
further
all along, further down.
So there were a lot of beaches within like 45-minute drive.
Yeah, at the most, right?
Yeah, like there were some closest to us that we would go to was called Marinella Beach, and it was about probably like a 10 to 15-minute drive. The beaches there are great. There was a lot of waves. Remember that one beach that like we couldn't even dip our toe in?
Yeah.
It was such big waves.
That was like kind of scary big waves, which is really unusual.
Yeah, so we went to that beach, and then there was a bunch of, that beach was called Capo di Feno. So just if you want to see some waves, because Dylan took up skimboarding in Corsica. So he liked the sandy beaches with no waves. So we had to find a lot of those, which Mare e Sole, I think, was the one we went to the most, where we'd take Rex.
Yeah.
And then there was one up north that we went to a really good lunch at a beach hut on the beach, a beach hut restaurant. It
felt very tropical. It was like, like palm trees around, and the restaurant was just super cute.
And I think that one was called Barbie Kaya. How would you say that?
That's got the old Spanish influence in
It
the
does.
name, doesn't it?
Barbacaya Beach. But it is beautiful. It was kind of protected, and so there weren't very many people there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was surprised we could
Parking
even.
was hard.
Yeah. But I was surprised we could get into the restaurant because it was so cute and really, really good. And there was hardly anybody there.
Yeah. So those were our main beaches. We kind of stuck to the same beaches or area of beaches on this part of the trip.
Yeah. But that was far from all we did in Ajaccio because the whole center of the island is very, very lush and full of water and rivers and streams and boulder climbing and all sorts of fun stuff. So Dylan and I went canyoning. Now, I'm old, and I was probably after me, the oldest person was probably in their 20s. And I also have a double hip replacement. So that part was fun, but it was really, really beautiful. We wore wetsuits and we went on natural water slides into these pools. And yeah, highly recommend if you're up for an adventure, canyoning in Corsica is amazing.
I did not go.
I don't know that, it is very, very physical. So if you're not down for that, you shouldn't do it. But if you are, it's really, really fun. It's really beautiful and something I'd never done before. Like the natural slides. I mean, we probably slid down 5 rocks into pools. Like it was really fun and really cool.
Would you do it again?
Physically it was a lot with trying because of my double hip replacement, I can't always step up the way that I need to. And so that was hard getting over rocks and stuff. But if taking that out of the equation, I would do it a million more times. So the other good part about the middle of the island and all of the water and places to walk around and explore is there was so many places for Rex to swim. So
there were a lot of swimming holes that we took Rex to that were really cool.
Yeah, and really nice too that because there were so many that we could go out and not really worry about the heat because he could just jump in the water anytime he wanted. So that was a fun thing.
Rex is right here.
He's like, what are you guys doing?
Okay, so that was our first week. And then the second week, we drove across the island back to the east side and down to about the middle of the coast to a place called Cervione. And we stayed in, it was like a apartment village, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. There was probably, 6 apartments?
Oh, was that it?
Yeah.
And they had like a restaurant in the complex. And it was a tiny, tiny apartment.
It was with a tiny, tiny kitchen. But we were right on the beach.
On the beach.
Yeah. And the cool thing about the little building that we were in was that the restaurant downstairs was lovely. And they made a big, huge Spanish influence again, made a big, huge, enormous vat of paella.
Yeah. They had paella night during the week.
And so good. And so it felt very communal, didn't it? I mean, it felt like it was family owned. And it felt like everybody comes there for paella night, and it was really cool and fun and delicious.
Now, I will say, because we were where we were location-wise and the beach, we didn't go to any other beaches other than the beach outside of our house.
It was really lovely, though. And we could go, Rex and I would walk all the way down. There was kind of a hotel resort just down from us, and they had a bar on the beach. They had a lovely beach, restaurant, everything. In fact, I had to go there and use the Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi in our apartment was terrible. So whenever I had meetings, I had to go to that hotel. But the beach was lovely. There was a whole huge grassy area that Rexy could play in. It was nice.
It was very nice. I'll put the apartment that we stayed in and that hotel on the website. But what I will say is not just the Wi-Fi is bad. The internet is terrible in this location.
Yeah, you don't have data.
So keep that in mind. It's nice if you don't have to work because it's nice to just shut off, I think.
Right.
But we just stayed at this beach. I mean, we really didn't go anywhere.
No, there were a lot of places to walk though, because remember then we would walk up towards the main road and there was a lot of walking up there. There were a lot of services in the area too, like big grocery stores, lots of other restaurants, everything you could need if you just you don't need your car once you get there.
Correct.
You know, like I said, it's the place you go when you want to just unplug and, you know, you can walk to everything unless, you know, you're buying big grocery stores, then you might need a car just to take stuff back.
Yeah.
But everything pretty much at your fingertips, except the rest of the world.
Correct.
Without internet.
The beach is beautiful. There is a food truck right on the beach that had the best pizzas.
Great pizzas.
We went back on our way home to get pizzas there. It was the best pizza.
And it was nice because they had also set up a seating area right on the sand. So you'd get your food or, you know, order, then go sit down and they'd bring you your food. So it was a mobile restaurant really. Right?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So that was a week of just lounging, which I enjoyed. And then we drove south on the east side to just above Porto Vecchio, which Porto Vecchio is one of the bigger towns in Corsica.
And Port City. You could come in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's Bastia, which is the biggest. And then Porto Vecchio is where the ferries all come in. And we stayed in this townhouse. Is that what it would be called?
I guess so. Yeah.
We shared a wall with one house.
Yeah. But it was one single story, decent size, big yard.
Big yard, air conditioning in all the rooms, which was lovely. Huge kitchen.
Yeah.
We had no complaints about that house.
No, not at all.
So we were about 7 or 8 minute drive from one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever been to, or at least one of the most beautiful beaches on Corsica.
Right.
And we went to that every day. And then we were also about a 10 to 15 minute drive from the, they're called like the swimming pools of Cavu, but it's a natural swimming pool in the center of the island. It's another like lake river offshoot.
With natural slides again, and tons of hiking, exploring, walking, and water along the way almost entirely. Right?
And it was crowded.
It was crowded, yeah.
It was crowded.
But yeah, so Rex went with us a few times just for exercise up there. And then we left him at home one time and went all the way to the pools. And then Dylan and I swam in the pools down there. And it's really, really lovely. Definitely need water shoes.
Yes.
You probably actually want to wear them the whole way so that, you know, you can walk on the sand. But
the hike to get to the pool is beautiful.
It is. It's about 45 minutes, though, right? I mean, it's not quick, but it's worth it. And like I said, there's water the whole way. So if you get too crazy hot, you can dip your toes in the water on the way. But the pools are definitely worth seeing and worth exploring.
So that was really nice. And then the beach near our house was called Penarello.
Penarello, yeah.
And it was so shallow. Like it was shallow for a good 100 meters at least. It was like shallow. Like you could walk on your knees far, and then it dropped off pretty quick, didn't it? Or did it not?
I don't remember it dropping off, but definitely quicker than
you swam off to the boats, and you were definitely swimming.
Yeah.
And it's a long beach, so we'd start at different locations that had services on the beach. It was not ever super crowded, but it was so beautiful. And because it's so shallow, it was one of those like turquoise. It's like the pictures you see. It was like the turquoise clear water, so nice. I loved it. And we'd go there every night after dinner because there was like a forest right in front of it, and we would walk Rex and let him go off leash a little bit and run around corners and stuff. So that was really fun. But we went there every day. And then we went to
San Julia?
Yeah, Plage de San Julia. Plage is a French word, right?
Yeah.
So we went
Julia is not.
Yes. So it's a little French Italian beach, which was a nice beach. It had like jet ski rentals, boat rentals, all sorts of rentals, and it was crowded.
Yeah. But definitely more like family event beach.
Yes. And then we also wanted to try a different beach a little further north. And so we drove and just we had seen it driving in, remember?
Yeah.
And so we drove up and we found a restaurant that we wanted to eat at. So we ate at this restaurant and it was really good. We ate on the second story. And then we just walked across the street and went to the sea there. And it was so nice.
It was beautiful.
And that beach was called Plage de Fatier.
Wow. Throwing down the French accent.
I'm French now.
No, but that beach was great. I love that beach.
Yeah, so we stayed pretty local there too. This was definitely not like our usual beach trips where we venture out every day to different beaches.
Yeah, but we didn't really need to because we had things that we loved really close. And that's not to say that's not true of Sardinia, but there's so much to explore in Sardinia. And I felt like we got a good taste of everything by sticking fairly close to the 3 places we stayed. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was...
Oh, we went into Porto Vecchio for a day and walked around and shopped around. It's a cute little beach town.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I guess it goes without saying for all of these places, there's little villages where, you can do shopping and grab food and whatever. So it's not like it's just the beach and that's it. There's always a little village or a little town to walk around.
I will say Porto Vecchio felt a little more upscale than Ajaccio and Bastia.
Right. No, for sure. Which Bastia was our last stop before catching the ferry back to the mainland. But it was cute.
Yeah. Bastia is really cute. It's really cute. We drove up from Porto Vecchio on our last day because our ferry left at like 10 at night. And typically you have to be out by 10 in the morning from the Airbnbs in Italy and France. So we drove up, we stopped at our favorite pizza place, and then we went to Bastia. We got a day room that we all 3 just shared, put our stuff down.
Rexy too.
And Rexy. So we walked around the town. We had dinner out. We just kind of chilled in the room until it was time to drive to the Traghetto, which was right across the street. So it was really nice. I really enjoyed Bastia. It reminded me of Bergamo.
Well, and it had that big community park in the middle, where everybody was just sort of having gelato and hanging out.
Because it was hot.
It was really hot.
It was a hot summer.
And that was the one thing that, it's hard to also have no home for 10 hours while you're waiting for the ferry, but also to be able to go into an air-conditioned room and have a bathroom.
Yeah.
Like that's... and
non-negotiable for us.
Well, and somewhere for Rex, because Rex doesn't want to just walk around in the heat for 10 hours, right?
Yeah.
So that was the thinking behind the day room, because it just gives you a home base for the hours that you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we got on the Traghetto. This time we didn't take the 4-hour. We took the overnight to Genoa, which at the end of the day, I think we should have taken the 4-hour and just driven through Tuscany.
See, I think it's easier to just sleep on the boat.
It is. It is. Yeah. Genoa is a shorter drive to get back to the Netherlands than Livorno. So
right. So it's just, would you rather spend more time on the boat or more time in the car?
And by the end of our trips, we're ready to just get home, then drive another 4 days. Right? Yeah. Okay. So would you go back to Corsica?
Absolutely.
And is there anything you would do differently?
Well, I hate to say it, but because I work everywhere I go, the internet was really a problem. So I would be more prepared for that. But besides that, I don't think so. I really liked everywhere we went. Like I said before, I love the ability to have something else to do, like in the middle of the island, and have the walks available and the swimming in fresh water. And all of that, I think, is really cool. The food's great there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to going back, but it definitely wouldn't be on the top of my list of where I would want to go back. Like, I put Sardinia, Sicily, Puglia, Croatia. I put all of that above Corsica.
All right. Fair enough.
So next week, we'll be talking more summer.
More summer. In the meantime,
check us out on Thursday on the Haunted Getaways, wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website, www.thegetaways.com.
And thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and review. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.